Girls Gone Wild with Thando Mthonti on TransafricaRadio.
Top of the hour, welcome to the second hour of Girls Gone Wild. If you have missed the first hour of the show, fret not, because Kaye is in studio and we are speaking all things Johannesburg Pride, and we're going to have a great conversation. I hope to get as controversial as possible, but also I hope to empower you with knowledge. Now, this topic is, today's show is very, very, very special to me. I have a little brother who identifies himself as homosexual, and I've watched him really struggle to be able to put into words his experience as somebody who identifies himself as homosexual. So I really hope that today we'll get your vocab going. We'll give you the right language to, first of all, be able to interact with somebody who identifies themselves as part of the LGBTQIA community. But also just to empower you as an African. And we know that there's places in Africa where being homosexual or anything other than heterosexual is against the law. So I hope that wherever you are listening, today you'll get the tools to really empower the way that you think and the way that you interact with others. And most importantly, I hope to give you the tools to have the right language, because language is so important. I think there's so many people out there who are so educated but are still so stupid in this regard. So without further ado, we are going to get this show going. Hi, Kaye.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Not too bad.
And how's the weekend been?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's been amazing to have you. We are the official media partner of Johannesburg Pride, and we're very excited to be on board. Yeah.
We're very excited. We were very excited to have Trans-Africa on board from the get-go. Predominantly because Johannesburg Pride is dubbed the Pride of Africa. So having Trans-Africa as our media partner was very relevant to us.
Yes.
We want to continue being known as the Pride of Africa. And that's something we pride ourselves on, because we have people that come from all over the continent to celebrate Pride in Johannesburg. And we're looking forward to a lot of people traveling to South Africa for Pride in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting.
I think so.
Yes, and so tell me about Kaye, and I mean, you as a human being, you as a person, and your experiences leading up to you taking over Johannesburg Pride when you did.
So, Johannesburg Pride, my role in Johannesburg Pride is completely as a volunteer.
Okay, all right.
I do not get paid for anything I do on behalf of Johannesburg Pride. It's my give back to myself.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
Because I come from a traditional Orthodox Indian Muslim family.
Okay.
Probably one of the first few gay people my family had to encounter in life. And they battled for many, many years. They battled. They battled to understand. They thought of it as something that went wrong. Instead of understanding that I was just simply being myself. Who I am today is maybe a little bit mature, an older and wiser person, or who I was 20 years ago or 30 years ago. Giving away my age. In short, I was a very driven person. I grew up in the Indian township of Lenasia.
Okay.
So next to Soweto, on the other side of the world. Very humble beginnings. We had been restricted to our little area.
Okay.
And we had, as a result, it develops a sense of ambition in you to want to achieve. So I remember growing up in a little council house where, the government at that time issued houses they had one door and muddy yards when it rained, and playing in the street with friends, and it was just Indians. And I always thought to myself, there's a lot more to the world. So once South Africa opened up, I remember in 1999 we moved out of Lenasia. We moved into a more cosmopolitan area in the south of Joburg. And that's when I realized that actually there's a much bigger world out there. And shortly, the year after that, 2000, another whole Y2K drama globally, I was actually traveling.
Okay.
And I went to Europe, and at that stage there was a lot of pressure. I was 19, 20. There was a lot of pressure from family. Indian girls need to be married or thinking of getting married or something at that stage.
Tricky.
And that first trip was a game changer for me.
Okay.
I realized that I'm different. I knew I was different, but I realized I was different.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And I realized that I had different feelings. I had not acted on anything at that stage because it was still so foreign to me. And time went by, and I had my first lesbian encounter, and then I developed as a person. Had a few, not too many.
Disclaimer.
My current partner sitting right here. I had a few encounters along the way, growing up experiences. And I've always been a very dedicated partner. I mean, there's a lot of Indians still in me in terms of the indoctrinations.
Okay.
So, monogamy and homeliness and building a relationship and building a life. So that's something I brought in. And I think it's something that I would have taken into any form of a relationship, irrespective of my sexuality. For me, sexual orientation has no gender, no race. It's how you feel, how you're comfortable, how you actualize yourself in life. Who I am here with you is how I am in the rest of the world. I have a day job. I'm in the IT industry. Ironically, my company that I work for is big in Africa. We do payments and cross-border payment transactions with a very strong African base. And that's my day job. That's how we pay the bills for all intent and purposes. I stumbled into Johannesburg Pride by being at an open meeting that was going terribly wrong, where because of the diversity that the community is, you've got gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, intersex, asexual, questioning, queer. So if you look at the diverse spectrum of people that you're dealing with, everyone has a different opinion and understanding and meaning of what pride is. But the reality is that pride is unobjectively a platform in which the LGBTQ plus me community, by and large, celebrates sexuality at this stage. It wasn't always like that. And I obviously in the public meeting voiced my opinion. And I went home.
Okay. Happy to go home.
Happy to go home. I had my say like everyone else. And I started getting tagged on Facebook posts where people were starting to look for me because I had actually made a little bit of sense in that meeting apparently. And then I went to a few more meetings, and I realized at that stage, because the board of the previous Pride organizing committee had closed down so quickly and so abruptly, practically midway through the year of 2013, that if we didn't act fast enough, we were going to miss Johannesburg Pride in 2013. So after a few public meetings with no direction in sight, a few people suggested we go to a coffee shop and start planning Pride. And I went along because I thought this is actually important and it's something that I'd like to be involved in. And being obstinate, because I'm a typical Taurus, whatever I do, I get involved in, get knee deep in, and I do it perfectly to the best of my ability and give 100% of myself. I was committed. And we started off as a group of about 20. And
of course, that's the number right now.
That's not that wasn't the number after 2 weeks.
I can imagine.
We were down to 3 or 4. Four people. And then there were so many different opinions and misrepresentations that, as you work through it, you realize that some people are doing it for the wrong reasons.
Interesting.
You can't be on a committee like this and self-serving.
True.
You can't be on a committee like this to promote yourself. So we've had a lot of that, and you have to sift through it. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I've ended up 5 years now doing Johannesburg Pride, and it's grown. It sometimes makes me very emotional to see how Pride has evolved in the last 5 years. And I have my own opinion about why. I'm not sure if you want me to go into it right now.
Do tell us. Do share.
So if we look at where Pride started, in 1969, Stonewall riots, Manhattan, New York, at a time when society by and large was very conservative.
All right.
So, I mean, and I think the 60s were conservative throughout the world.
Okay.
Not just in America, not just in Africa. But I think homosexuality or gender identity, which is different to what society actually represents, mainstream society,
Yes.
was always there. And I mean, it dates back to ancient Egypt, the time of the pharaohs, the 18th, 19th century in North Africa, East Africa. There's a lot of history around cross-dressing. West Africa has its own set of, century-old homosexual roots. There was a revolt. So Stonewall Inn was publicly known to support the LGBT community. And there was a raid and a riot.
Oh, wow.
And that led into a defiance march, which is where Pride stems from.
Okay.
So the 70s, it's 1969 this happened. The 70s saw Pride being a very defiant campaign of activism, of fighting for rights, of voicing our opinions, of being publicly flamboyant. And a lot of the parades were led by transgender. Because I think that even today, transphobia is probably the highest spectrum affected by discrimination within the community. And then the 80s saw us go into a more campaign-style Pride, where, the relevant lifestyle issues became prevalent. So in the 80s, HIV/AIDS was a huge campaign for Prides because governments across the world were actually turning a blind eye to it. There's an entire generation of gay people in America, especially gay men, that were wiped out by the AIDS I don't want to say pandemic, but the initial outbreak in the 80s because of lack of support, because of lack of medical treatment. So the LGBT community took it on itself to campaign, and Pride was the platform used. The 90s then saw it further evolve into learning from what happened in the 80s and becoming a more healthy, more lifestyle orientated, more sexual conscious, more sexually protected campaign. So you saw the healthy lifestyles, scalped bodies, gym, like muscle Marys, and you saw all of that emerge in a very flamboyant way, because people then started becoming comfortable with who they are.
Okay.
And with comfort comes the ease of self-expression. And then, that went through quite rapidly, and it was accepted. But it's not going to change everyone's daily life.
100%.
But because it's an annual event. The fights continued. So 2000 saw the fights for marriage equality, anti-bullying, non-discrimination in the workplace, things like at an international platform, workplace pride started becoming prevalent, diversity policies, diversity network groups. And diversity network groups, the beauty of that in multinational corporations is it doesn't just center around LGBT. LGBT is but one of many diversity groups that are being addressed and taken care of in a nurturing way within corporate. So it's your people with disabilities, mixed cultural environments, LGBT, women in the workplace, women in technology. So you're seeing a big drive in terms of what diversity stands for in the 2000s. And having fought all those battles, what's happened with Pride is it's become a little bit more celebratory in nature. Because as you see, the more we win in terms of the activism fights, like the marriage equality, the Civil Union Act, which came into effect in South Africa. We were one of the first 5 countries in the world to legitimize same-sex marriage under the Civil Unions Act in mid-2000. Pride took on a different face. Then you saw Pride becoming a place where same-sex families with children were coming to Pride to celebrate their family. And that's where Pride is now. Pride is by no means taking away from the seriousness that society faces. But at the end of the day, when we look at our history, we've come a long way. And for me, I think it's imperative to create a balance. We're always seen as the community that is fighting, complaining. We're not integrated enough. We're not accepted enough. We're always discriminated against. We've turned the curve. As Johannesburg Pride, we've turned the curve. We have 100% sponsorship for venue from Melrose Arch. That sponsorship comes with aspects like a billboard that is provided by Melrose Arch, which is, never in the history of Pride in this in this country, in this continent, has Pride had a billboard. Their support, their assistance with making Pride special, their team supporting us on the day, the security, the cleanup, everything that they take, and they take it so personally. They are so involved. They take so much of ownership of it. You cannot complain anymore that Pride is not integrated. Because on the 28th of October, for the second year in a row, we will be having Pride on a Monday Saturday in one of the most cosmopolitan, sought after, spoke after urban complexes on this continent, and Melrose Arch is known throughout the world. Throughout the world. It's a business hub concept that was very unique and I think very well received. What also it's managed to do is give us integration, because the rest of society comes to Melrose Arch for lunch, for shopping, to meet friends, while we've shut down a major part of this urban hub to celebrate and create a Pride Village.
That's amazing.
It's absolutely fantastic.
I opened the lines earlier and I asked people just to send me questions and so on. And somebody called Sopo asked, what can heterosexual people do to jump onto Johannesburg Hub? And I'll add on to that and saying, without taking it away, without making it about us, because I know how heterosexual people can be, right? We can make it all about us. We can, because that's how heterosexual people be. It's kind of like patriarchy. It's one of those privileges that come and take over when it's not supposed to. How can we show our support?
So support and integration and acceptance makes it a lot more easier for any LGBT identifying person to exist in the world more openly. How do you show support? So I'll give you an example. When we were eventually 3 in 2013, we needed 3 people to register an NPC. And at that time, my straight male best friend was there by default, because I picked up the phone and I said, I need you. I need a pair of hands. And he was there. Ironically, at the time we were registering the NPC, he was one of the first people to put up his hand and says, you know what, I know it comes with personal liability, and here's my ID book, and I'm prepared to accept that liability as a person that believes that we need to be accepting of all. So today he's still a member of the NPC. Let's take examples like Melrose Arch, the CEO, Mike Vermaak. He is a very elderly, white Afrikaans gentleman that would love for Pride to stay at Melrose Arch. Mike goes out of his way to make sure that his team helps us in every way possible. And I think that is amazing. And that deserves a mention, because you don't get a lot of people like that. What we are seeing is, because Pride is now in such an integrated environment, we are seeing a lot more corporates, multinational corporates, getting involved. So, the purpose is, firstly, it's a business.
Okay.
They do want to be seen as aligned and diverse, right? So we have places like Ernst & Young, Google, Vodacom, TransafricaRadio. Whoop, whoop. And the biggest support we do get is from Melrose Arch, Bacardi, Berry Blast Factory, might be leaving out one or two, Vonnermac, who is a world-renowned graphics and 3D animation company. They've done all our posters, all our artwork at absolutely no cost.
Amazing.
It's amazing, you know, and that's the kind of support that we started getting. And you see from 2013 how Pride has grown. But to answer the question, just come and support. You know, celebrate with us.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of it. When we were setting up last year at Melrose Arch, because it was the first time, there was a lot of questions and curiosity around what was happening in the morning. So we right in front of the gym, and you saw a lot of their residents and gym goers run out and like, what's happening? Do we have to buy tickets? Is it free? A lot of them came back in the afternoon. The ward councillor for Melrose Arch area, him and his wife came. You know, and he was apprehensive because there were issues at a park a few months earlier with a different event, nothing to do with the LGBT community, and he was very apprehensive going into the event. He came for a short while in the evening, and he actually sought me out in a crowd of thousands of people to tell me that he was actually sorry he didn't support the event.
Oh, wow.
Because he found it to be so tranquil, so peaceful, so loving in nature. And I think that's all that Pride is.
Yeah, it's the spirit. It's the
spirit.
Yes.
What it also has become is, so my partner Nolene does the social media. And she used a lot of data, but but she does the social media very well. And she sometimes plays tricks with me. So she showed me a picture. And I said, oh, wow, that's a nice picture of Pride. But because of Melrose Arch being the urban hub that it is, and we do Pride in the streets, Melrose Boulevard, we close a section off the main road of Melrose Arch. It looks very European.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Feel.
Okay.
And it has that element, you know, of a Mardi Gras, of a street party. So she actually showed me a picture of New York Pride. And at a glance, I just said to her, you know, it's a beautiful picture of Pride. I wonder who captured it. And she said to me, it's actually not Johannesburg Pride, it's New York Pride.
That's amazing, yeah.
So we have upped our game. And it's important for me because Pride in a rugby field or Pride in a park, isolated from society,
defeats the whole purpose.
defeats the purpose of why we celebrate. We should not be celebrating amongst ourselves. We should be celebrating in broad daylight amongst society at large.
On a Saturday.
On a month in Saturday.
Yes, absolutely.
Disrupt traffic.
Yeah.
Annoy roads so that people know what's happening.
100%. Yeah, 100%. So, okay, I'm interested to know about Pride in an African context. Now, Johannesburg is a very open-minded community, of course, barring some issues that we deal with here. But if we look at Pride throughout the African continent, I can imagine that some of the challenges that we've overcome as South Africans or in Johannesburg, some countries, some LGBTQIA community members across the African continent may still be struggling with it, you know, from civil unions to just being able to walk into a corporate space and say, you know what, I identify as questioning or queer, or I don't think I'm male, I don't think I'm female. How does Johannesburg Pride have an intention to go out into the rest of the continent and hold the hands of other communities that genuinely need the help and the voice and the language and the empowerment?
So firstly, let's touch on South Africa.
Yes.
I think for me, I'm very proud of the fact that South Africa, I keep referring to my notes.
Yeah.
I can't remember everything. So South Africa post-apartheid constitution was the first country in the world to outlaw discrimination based on sexual orientation. It was the fifth country in the world to actually legalize same-sex unions via civil union. So for me, that is a very proud statistic to be part of as a South African. And I only identify as a South African. I do not identify as an Indian South African or a person of Indian origin. I identify as South African.
Yeah.
Done. So for me, I'm very proud of our history. In terms of what Johannesburg Pride has done for the African continent, and we have a lot of people that travel from all countries in Africa to South Africa to Johannesburg, specifically in October, to celebrate Pride. And I think it's important because we're creating a platform for the entire continent. And it's important because we're also creating a global connection. We have people from outside of the continent, from Asia. We have very big support from Asia, Thailand, India. As countries like India are among the countries in Africa where homosexuality is criminalized.
Of course, yeah.
So having support from them is very endearing to me. We also have support from Interpride. Interpride is an international pride organizing committee. So it's a committee for organizing committees.
Okay.
Where it has guidelines, it has assistance, it has a reference, it's a community of people that understand what we go through 11 months of the year.
Yeah.
Because literally,
every other day.
I must be so grateful that my partner understands my madness.
Yeah.
Because our lives for 11 months of the year is all about where we go. Is there Wi-Fi? How much of Pride work do we need to do? How much of emails do we need to respond to? So I'm grateful for that because she understands the importance of what we do. We're an unfunded NPC. We rely on donations. So the corporates that I've mentioned are corporates that have come forward to help us put this event together. We do not receive any form of sponsorships, social grants, funding from any organization.
Not from government either? Nothing?
Not from nothing.
Right.
Nothing. We put together this event by the grace of
the universe.
Yeah. And miraculously, a week or two before the event, funds start rolling in. We do have a small VIP section that helps pay for the event's bills. And a lot of people say you shouldn't. It's not equal. But the reality is that we have bills to pay.
Yeah.
Putting that into an African context now. So 22 out of 56 countries in Africa have some form of homosexual acceptance.
Okay.
Oh,
it's a long way to go.
That's a long way to go.
Yeah.
So if we look at gender identity, 1 out of 56. If we look at military service, 1 out of 56. Guess that one is? South Africa. Discrimination protection, 7. Recognition of relationship status, 1. Restrictions on adoption or the ability to adopt, that's 1. So in terms of where Africa is, there is a long road to go.
100%.
What we are doing is, as part of Interpride, there's a district that is focused on Africa.
Okay.
And we're part of that community. In addition to that, I get a lot of questions directed directly at my emails from organizations that are trying to put Pride together in Africa. Now, the mechanics of organizing an event like this is very intense. It's an intense process. You have to be very methodical about what you do. But you also need to know what are the legal ramifications of what you're doing, because you're opening up a platform where you, as the convener, are responsible for every single person that attends this event.
Yeah, so I mean, something goes wrong, you go to jail. You face criminal charges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're responsible. You're personally liable. So my first point of reference to anyone that contacts me from Africa is to say, what does your law say about homosexual conduct?
That makes sense,
right?
Yeah.
How exposed are your Pride goers going to be?
True.
Number 2, what does your regulatory body say about convening a public event like this? Yeah. Because, so we have a lot of pushback, and I think, the cooler box culture is very much entrenched in our communities. When you go somewhere, we got to take a cooler box.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very African of us.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Uber on board. So you can get a discount coming and going from the event.
Amazing.
Buy a few drinks at the bar.
You have Bacardi on board.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourself within reason and go back home.
And then drink some more.
And drink some more. So that is like one of the first things. And people say to me, but why do you ask this question always? And I said, because it's most relevant to the success of your event. You need to set the tone up front.
100%.
So Namibia had their first Pride this year.
Amazing. Yeah.
They reached out to us last year for advice, and I gave them a little breakdown. I was asked a lot about the issues that are prevalent currently in Egypt. So Egypt for the last 18 to 19 months have been on a spree of arresting people. And there's been about 232 arrests directly from the LGBT community. So here's the trick about Egypt. Homosexuality is not criminalized in that country. The arrests are not being made based on homosexual behavior or homosexual conduct.
It's just crimes, it's crime.
It's other factors that they are arresting people on, whether they're true or not.
Okay.
It makes it difficult for international bodies like the Human Rights Watch, like International Gay and Lesbian Association, to actually get down to grassroots as to what's happening in those countries. Because the statistics become distorted. So, a lot of people say to me, what are you doing as Johannesburg Pride? I'm like, we're an unfunded organization.
What do you want us to do?
Our main objective is to plan an event. That happens once a year. What do we do where the United Nations have failed?
Yeah, that's true.
Amnesty International has failed. What do? We just normal people.
Yeah.
We're trying to make a small difference.
Who have 95s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In addition to the 9 to 5, we're trying to make a small difference. And I'd love to do more. With the right support, maybe we can do more. I've tried, and we are building relationships. So we built a relationship with LGBT Business Forum. They will be at Pride. There's a LGBT group that have an event in Knysna, but they've registered a foundation to help specifically with funds to rebuild Knysna.
Okay.
So they will be at Pride looking for donations. The management forum will be there showcasing their newly launched initiative. Google will be there to represent and support the community on an international platform. Ernst & Young will be there to represent the community on an international platform. Vodacom is coming because they have launched an LGBT diversity network group. But they're also coming to support the use of smartphones that we cannot live without.
Yeah.
And as part of their initiative to show support to the community, they're going to set up a Wi-Fi zone, a charging zone, which I think is a godsend.
Yep. It's the little things.
It's those little things that count.
Yeah.
So, Vodacom will be doing that for a time. The most relevant and closest to my heart is We the Brave.
Okay, tell us more.
So We the Brave is a South African initiative, part of Anova Health. And Anova Health have 3 different health initiatives. Health for men, health for women, and trans health.
Okay.
So that's the 3 initiatives, and they have other campaigns like the Young Hero campaign and so forth and so on. But the We the Brave campaign has been an integral part of Johannesburg Pride since 2013. So our support and our partnership has grown as Pride has grown since my planning of Pride. And they funded by the Elton John Foundation. Their main initiative is sexual awareness, know your status, education, counseling. They have a network of clinics where, depending on what your status is, you can be counseled, you can have the right care being provided. And the thing is, for me, we live in a society where a We the Brave initiative is relevant to everyone.
100%, yeah.
Doesn't mean you're promiscuous. you could go in for blood transfusion and come out positive. You know, I mean, there's various ways, but knowing your status is imperative.
Yeah.
So We the Brave will be at Pride. They do a very nice activation with us. They will be doing testing. A lot of people question why, and I think it's very relevant.
Yeah.
You know, you're in the moment on the day, and
you have there's the support there. There's people around you. Yeah.
Also, they come with testing station counselors. They engage with, they're equipped with the right people to support you immediately.
All right.
And they put you in contact with the right networks to continue that support. So that's a very important initiative. And they're always very, very vibey and very funky in how they activate their brand. So that's a very big partnership for us this year. And they do it throughout South Africa, you know, but they've got that international plug-in.
Okay, yes.
And that international plug-in has roots across the continent and across the globe. So we are trying to be relevant. Our hands are a bit tied because we don't have money. You know, with money you can do anything.
Yeah.
Without money it's very difficult. I support anyone. Johannesburg Pride for me is a platform for everyone.
Yeah.
People also ask me, there's a lot of other prides that take place in Gauteng. There's a lot of other prides that take place in South Africa. For me, that is very relevant because I'm one person. I have an outlook on what pride means to me based on my life experiences. I also have an outlook of what pride means because I sit and I think about it, and I think about how we make pride relevant for the younger generations. They don't understand that there was history of human rights and LGBT activism that happened back in the day, which is irrelevant to their lives right now.
Yeah, even though, I mean, you're a beneficiary, you're a direct beneficiary of those. Yeah, absolutely.
It does. What you haven't experienced, you cannot just quickly identify with. So I sit and I think about a lot of that, and I read a lot. I read about the younger generations, and I try to understand what engages them and how we engage with them and what do they find more appealing. So for me, all the prides that take place in Gauteng are relevant.
Yeah.
Because there are people that are attracted to a different type of outreach, and they go where they're attracted. So what I've also done is I've removed Pride from that back-to-back weekend of Prides. Johannesburg Pride takes place at the last Saturday of October every year, and that's the end of Pride Month.
Okay, yeah.
Everything else happens before that, and we end the month off.
All right.
We end the month off in a very big way, in a very celebratory way. It's a party with a purpose.
Yeah.
But also, for me, it's important because if you have one teenager that comes to Pride, you know, in anticipation of understanding themselves better, and then realize that actually they're not alone. There is this bigger community. There's this bigger understanding. There's this bigger acceptance.
Yeah, that is powerful. Yeah.
Then I've achieved the objective of what we were trying to do.
True.
Because you've reached one person and you've stopped one potentially scared person that doesn't know where to turn, and you've stopped them from doing something silly.
Yeah. And I mean, Pride Month does kind of correlate with Mental Health Month, right?
Correct.
Which I don't think is a coincidence, even though I don't think anybody kind of planned it out.
No, we didn't.
But it does come together. And I mean, like I said, I do have a little brother who does identify himself as something. It really is a very, very, very challenging mental journey, especially when you came from a Muslim family.
Yes.
Please tell me how that works today. I'm keen to find today.
Wow.
Do they still ask you when you're getting married?
No, thank God.
That question's kind of...
So, we've actually taken a turn. We went from not speaking for many years.
Okay.
Because no one could deal with the fact or the phase.
They were hoping one day you'd back and be like, guys, I'm so sorry.
It was all a phase. I was crazy. I was on something. It was the aircons at work or something. It's changed.
Yeah.
I think it's changed because my parents have grown up. My involvement with Pride has forced people to ask questions in the family. I don't flaunt my gayness, but they have become accepting of my relationship. And it stopped becoming a snigger of, it's your lifestyle.
Okay.
Now it's just where I am.
Yeah.
And you know that they're accepting when you get invitations repeatedly, weekend after weekend after weekend to family functions.
Okay. It's like, yay, I think I'm one of you again.
And I think my mom and my partner, they have a good relationship. It's something I never expected to see. So it has changed, but it's taken 20 years.
Whoa, yeah. And that's a journey, that's a lifetime.
That's a lifetime, yes.
Yeah.
And I think there was a big part of that 20 years where we didn't speak. So, and then my mom realized that you can't do that. And I think what also made her realize, in my stubbornness, I was prepared to go it alone.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. And that's when she took a step back and realized that the stubborn child of mine. So it has changed. I've seen with my siblings as well. They don't fully understand, but it's changed. My sister's got a senior member of her work group, part of the LGBT community, and she says not to me, but she says to Nolene, can I have VIP tickets, please? Oh, wow. So that's when you know that, okay, we've taken this curve.
Yeah.
Now we're going on the good road now. So it's good. It feels good. It feels good. I'm grateful. I think, that's a blessing. But it's the same with my partner's family. So we are not completely segregated from either side. There's a case of, where do we go today? Yeah. And in between all of this, for 11 months of the year, let me remind you, we have this huge baby that we babysit.
Yeah.
And it only literally ends at the end of November. So for us, between the second week of December to about the 15th of January is the only period in our lives where we try not to speak about Pride. Okay. We really try not to speak about Pride. We try to just, I take leave in that time so we can switch off and just have some quality time and be. Yeah. For the rest of it, it's families, it's work, it's my partner's got her own fashion label, so it's that, and then it's planning Pride. So we have quite a full life.
Yeah. And where do you see Pride in 5 years? Where do you hope Johannesburg Pride will be?
So where we are now, we've taken that turn and we've started getting global recognition. As an African Pride, we are on the list of prides of the world. We were mentioned last year and congratulated by LGBT nations for a fantastic event on the night of the event. On the Pride Day last year, by sheer tweets from Johannesburg Pride at Melrose Arch, and the hashtags were, last year's hashtags were, love is love, love wins, Pride at Melrose, and healing, because our color was orange. Okay. So what we've done is we've started taking colors from the rainbow flag because they have meanings. Yeah. And we theme Pride around that.
That's amazing.
So last year we trended number 1 on Twitter on the day of the event, which was done purely by Pride attendees. This year we'll be looking at our Facebook statistics alone. We're sitting on a post reach for the event of almost 400,000 people. Those insights and statistics are scary. But it means that Pride is actually on everyone's radar. But the nice thing about it is there's something else that's happening in the background that people are not privy to. I get these emails. So I got an email from Belgium Pride commending us on our reworked Pride initiative. So last year, when we took Pride to Melrose, we actually gutted the way Pride was in Africa, or Johannesburg Pride. We took it to an urban metropole complex that had restaurants, that had big brands, that had a very European feel to it. It had a very cosmopolitan, very global milieu. And it's safe.
Yes.
You park your car in the basement with ample basement parking.
Yeah.
You pay 10 Rand for your parking. You come up to the Melrose Arch Boulevard into the Pride Village, and it's safe and secure, and you can have as much fun as you want. And when you leave, because we started the event later, where historically Pride would start at 9 o'clock in the morning and end at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
We changed that. We only started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Awesome. Yeah.
Right? Because at 5 o'clock, when everyone is now ready to party, we're closing down.
Everyone must go home. Yeah.
And do you know how hard it was to get people to leave the venue?
Please go home. Please.
Please turn the music on. Why are you doing this to us? You know, and it was that constant. Eventually, I'd be like, God, please let something happen so that people can all go home. Like, make it dark, load shit, something. Just go home. So we changed that. So we started at 2 o'clock. And we had a lovely build-up. We took the parade out later. So it wasn't so hot. Normally, we take the parade out at 11:30 in that midday sun.
Yeah.
And everyone came back thoroughly burnt and complaining. I'm the first to complain, by the way, because no amount of sunblock helps me. And we ended at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And it was amazing because it was the first time at 10 o'clock, as we started shutting down, people actually just left. No arguments. They were like, we did a crowd sweep and they understood it was time to go home. Pride is done. And a lot of people actually went home. So they were like, we've had enough fun. We were here on time. Some were there from before time. So we had people sitting and waiting for us at 10 o'clock in the morning to open our gates.
Amazing. Yeah.
And they were there throughout the day. And it was a continuous of people came to see because they were curious how is this going to work out, and they stayed and they messaged, and they got more and more people to come and meet them. And as a result, the social media exposure just grew. I find it fascinating because I look at how much we are in social media after Pride.
Okay.
And I look at that purely because I miss half of what happens on the day. I'm so busy.
Running around. Yeah.
I see a lot of Pride through the eyes of people and their pictures on social media. And what fascinates me after last year is months after the event, like literally up until last month, I'll be like, oh my God, look at this. This is a Pride photo.
Oh, wow.
And it absolutely gives me pleasure. It gives me so much of joy to know that people came, they had fun, and they carry that message through, and they carry that feeling through, and they share those memories almost onto the door of the next event. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this year because it's the second time we've done it in this way. And we've also done something slightly different this year. Tomorrow Day is our entertainment ambassador. So you'll see a lot more of her, and I think everyone loves her.
Yes.
She is such a unique voice and such a wonderful person.
Yeah.
And she's a true representative of cosmopolitan South Africa. So she's our entertainment ambassador, but we've also coupled her with an entertainment lineup from the community. So Tamara's always been a great supporter. She didn't perform at last year's Pride, but she came.
Okay.
And she came at about 4 o'clock and she left when we shut down. So it was amazing. She had the best time. And I'm hoping we have the same this year, if not better. But we've coupled her with DJs like all we.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So I think he's such a vibrant person. I remember, talking to him, and I said to him, send me a demo. I said to him, Google me. So I'm like, okay. Relevant, seeing as our Google's our sponsor. And I did. And I found a little video. And I downloaded the video and I sent it back to him on WhatsApp, and I said to him, is this you? If this is you, this is what I want.
He's so much fun.
I know.
Yeah, he's so much
I'm
fun.
looking so forward to his. So he's got one of the prime times, because I think it's just going to be so fantastic. We've got Mr. Oliphant. He's doing a solo act. We've got Justine, the queer trans drag act. And tomorrow we'll do a few slots off and on stage. And we've got Darker Than White, KG Biscuit. She's amazing. I think last year she did a slot with the fashion show. Okay. But this year she's going to do a prime slot on her own with no interruptions. And that the important thing, and we also have like DJ Sky, Karma, KG, DJ Shakti from Joburg Live, and we've put them all together to create a union in terms of giving the community the best of. And it's very difficult for us to choose who. So what we've done is we open our selection panel up. We ask for demos.
Okay.
And we literally go through a selection criteria. My God.
So much
we have so much of talent in this country. We have so much of talent that we can't. We've got so few slots. I mean, we literally run from 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 10 o'clock. We have the parade in between. We need to give vote of thanks to our wonderful sponsors. So we're really pressed for time slots. And we really, really, really have to take the most appealing, the people that are getting most traction. I'd love to be able to give everyone, but 3,000 applications, I can't give everyone a slot.
It's not realistic, yeah.
And we do find that hopefully we'll be able to diversify the lineup next year.
Okay.
The aim long term is to go Pride to beyond one stage.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Exactly. So this year we have all the artists. We have Tamara as the entertainment ambassador. We have Delta the Leo as the MC. So Delta is a phenomenal upcoming artist. She's very versatile. She does singing, dancing. She's been selected to represent South Africa at a world championship for dancing. So we have a lot of talent. We have a lot of talent within the community. And that's important for me. When I give my brief, because I don't get involved in entertainment. So I'm the worst person to be at the VIP entrance. Everyone knows me. Hi, Kaye, off they got in. And I'm the worst person to be on the entertainment selection panel. Because people approach me directly. And being the person that I am, I say yes to everyone.
Yeah.
And then I get into trouble when I go back. We have these independents that help us put a lineup together. And I'll be like, yeah, but Kaye said. I'm like, you maybe.
I did say.
I remember. So I don't get involved. I've learned the hard way enough. I get approached. I'm like, you have to email entertainment. There is a selection panel. I've got nothing to do with that panel. That's my first disclaimer. My second disclaimer is if you don't email entertainment on time, I can't help you.
Yeah.
I can't help you. We are a professional organization. We may be volunteers, but our ethics, our business principles that we actually organize Pride on is based on proper, authentic work ethic. So you have to have a plan. You have to have order in that plan. And if you have that and you work that plan, you're going to get success. Yeah. So I think in time to come, to answer your question, I'd like Pride to grow. I'd like to see more than one stage so we can accommodate all this talent. We can also cater for a lot more. I think our entertainment has become very versatile, very diverse. It caters to everyone. And for me, Pride is gender-free. But Pride is also race-free. And that's very important. And it's important for us to carry that through. And that ties into where we are today. With Johannesburg Pride's hashtags, they are hashtag respect diversity.
All right.
I think we have to learn, we get a lot of comments about people that were involved in or instrumental in or lived in the 80s, and they feel that they had contributed in some way to the reforms and changes. Reality, we all faced hardships at some point in our life.
Yeah.
But 20 odd years into democracy, we need to start asking ourselves at which point we're going to stop looking back.
Okay.
True. When are we going to stop? Let's look forward. How are we making Pride relevant for the next 10 years? Where are we taking it in the next 10 years? What type of fights do we have to fight? Because the fights that have been fought have brought us here.
All right. True.
Now from here, where to? How do we make it more accepting for a transgender person to be more accepted at work? How do you make them more comfortable in society? Because transphobia is a big issue.
Yes.
It's probably as big, if not bigger, than homophobia.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because homophobia is the fear of someone being different. That's all it is, right? But transphobia is someone that's extremely different and is extremely visible. Sitting here, unless I tell you I'm gay, I'm just a normal person.
100%.
Right? But a person that suffers from transphobia suffers because at first glance,
You can already see that.
you can see that there's a difference. There's a distinction.
Which means there's stares and it feels like being bullied. It feels like isolation. It feels...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the type of focus we need to move towards. I think as a community, we have a lot of interracial, a lot of mixing, a lot of understanding.
Because you are an accepting society.
Correct.
Yes.
You see a lot of same-sex couples that adopt children across the color lines purely for the sake of giving love. And I think that's very prevalent. Love is a very big part of who we are as an LGBTQ plus me society. And I say LGBTQ plus me.
I was going to ask, yes.
Because LGBTQ as acronyms.
Yes.
It's how you take that acronym and identify with it.
All right.
That makes it special. That makes it relevant. We need to actually stand together. Let's look beyond skin color, sexual identity. We're one family. We're one voice. And together we can be a very, very strong voice.
Now, thank you, Kaye. We have reached the end of our interview. It went by so quickly.
Wow.
Right. Twitter handles, email addresses, if people have last minute questions, if people want to get tickets, all of that. Where can people link up with Johannesburg Pride?
This is the advertising spot.
Yes. Go.
Johannesburg Pride, 28th of October, Melrose Arch Boulevard, Pride Village, opens at 12:30, which is a build up to the parade at 2:30. We expect a full DJ lineup until 10 o'clock that night. If you're looking for tickets, you can go to newticket.co.za. Johannesburg Pride on the 28th of October. You'll find it there. If you have any information that you're not sure of, we have Facebook page Johannesburg Pride. We are on Twitter handle at JHB Pride, Instagram at JHB Pride. If you're not sure still, you can email info@Johannesburg Pride, or you can go to our website www.johannesburgpride.co.za. Please use the full word Johannesburg, and all the information is there.
Yeah.
If you're still not sure, please inbox us on any one of our social media platforms, and Nalini will get back to you.
To be completely honest.
Yeah.
And Transafrica is the official media partner. We will be there at Pride. So excited.
I know.
It'll be an outside broadcast.
It's the first time ever.
Yes. So we're absolutely excited to be a part of that. And that was Kaye Ali, and that is Johannesburg Pride. Please make sure that you do head there. You do not have to be. You don't have to look anyway. You don't have to be anyway. Go there, have fun, an open mind, and the spirit of love.
come as yourself.
Come as yourself. 100%. Thank you so much, Kaye. Back into the music now. Sarkodie coming up, Questa coming up, Tio Savage coming up. Let me wrap things up behind the mic.
This is TransafricaRadio.